Right. I've been looking this over the last little while, and these are not the final divisions. We don't know the final divisions yet, so I just thought, yeah, that works. Hey, I put Philadelphia and Pittsburgh in the same division. The rumored divisions out of the NHL splits them up, so I like the Pennsylvania battle. And there are more teams in the Eastern time zone than in all the other time zones. So there's going to be Eastern teams that are mad, but West Coast teams are going to say, "Yeah, that's too bad for you." So what I've done too is I've named the four divisions because this has been floated out there as something the NHL could do this year. It's 1 year, right? And the idea of Canada, West, Central, East, that's boring. That's boring divisions. So I named the Canadian division the Richard division after Rocket Richard. I named the Eastern division the Lemieux division after Mario because Pittsburgh's there. The Central, if you want to call it that, I named it the Howe division because it's not really Central. You have Florida, Tampa, Carolina, Washington, and Detroit. And if you look at where Nashville is on a map, I know what time zone they're in, but they're pretty far east. So it's basically the East and then Chicago and St. Louis because I want them in the same division as Detroit. And that's the Howe division because Detroit's in that division. And then I have the Gretzky division because Gretzky going to LA was huge. Changed hockey forever in California, and that's why we have three California teams. So that's why I named the divisions what I did. But what this video is really about is the whole idea of power rankings coming into this season. And I've been hemming and hawing on this because I've got the power rankings board that I've used for the last year, and I've done the power rankings basically the same way for 3 years now. Now it just doesn't work with divisional rivalries being the only games of the year, and here's why. There is definitely a strength of division difference between each division. So you look at the Canadian division, or as I'm calling it, the Richard division. You have 0 teams that finished in the top 10 in the National Hockey League last year by winning percentage. None. Then you look between 11 and 15th, or 11th and 15th, you have 2. From 16th through 20th, you have 3. And from 21st to 31st, you have 2. And you have no cup winners over the last 11 years. So you have Winnipeg who were 20th, Toronto was 13th. I didn't put these in any particular order. I don't care. Montreal 24th, Calgary was 19th, Vancouver 17th, Ottawa 30th, and the Oilers 12th. So when it comes to bragging rights in Canada, there really isn't any right now. I've always found that interesting that Canadian fans will always, well, my team won the offseason. Are you sure? Because I heard you won the offseason last year and it didn't get better. So, or, yeah, you still didn't win the cup. So we're still waiting on that first cup in Canada since these guys did it in 1983. So the Canadian division should be home to some fantastic games. But if a team leads this division, are they automatically top 4 in the league on a power rankings? If, let's say, Calgary, they get off to a 6-0 start. They beat Ottawa in back-to-back, they beat Montreal in back-to-back, and they beat Winnipeg in back-to-backs. So they beat those 3 teams, and then we'll look out here at Boston. Boston has a split in Philly, a split against Columbus, and then they win both against Pittsburgh. Can it be argued that Boston's 4-2 is more impressive than the 6-0 mark being put up in the Richard division? Yes. And that's where the argument's going to become just deafening. So when we look at the Lemieux division, you've got 3 teams that are top 10 in the NHL last year, 2 that are between 11th and 15th, 1 that's between 16th and 20th, and 2 that are between 21st and 31st overall in the NHL. Three Stanley Cups in that division between Boston with 1 and Pittsburgh with 2. Now, Columbus was 14th in the league, the Rangers 18th, Buffalo 25th, Philadelphia 6th, Boston 1st, Pittsburgh 7th, New Jersey 26th, and the Islanders 11th. So you can look and go, well, New Jersey and Buffalo may still be in some sort of a rebuild, and yet they've both improved, at least on paper, in the offseason. We'll see how it works in practice. In theory, it always works. And then in practice, not so much. Sometimes it's great and sometimes it's not. But you have 3 genuinely really good teams there. Potentially 4 with the Rangers. Potentially 5 with Columbus. And again, that's the question mark. And then again, if we come back to the Richard division, you've got 7 teams here. Lemieux division, you've got 8. So it's going to be more difficult to move up in the power rankings because you're playing probably tougher opponents. The Howe division, you've got 6 Stanley Cups in this division because Chicago's in it. So in that division, you got the Capitals, who were 5th overall and are one of four teams that were in the top 10 last year. You've got one that's between 11th and 15th, one that's between 16th and 20th, and then two between 21st and 31st. So between 21st and 31st, you got two here, two here, two here. Things are pretty equal there, but you got 4 in the top 10, 3 in the top 10, and 0 in the top 10 here. So Capitals 5th, Stanley Cup in 2018, Carolina 9th, Tampa Bay was 4th, Stanley Cup, of course, this year. Why I'm wearing Tampa Bay gear. Florida 15th, Nashville 16th, Detroit 31st, Chicago 23rd, but Stanley Cups in 2015, 2013, and 2010. Thank you very much. And St. Louis, of course, 2nd overall this past year, and they won the Stanley Cup last year, 2019. So this is a very strong division. This division, there are some middling teams that may very well be ready to move up. That if we had our regular divisions, you might see some Canadian teams really high up in their division. But since we're only going to have Canadian teams against each other in this proposed schedule that we're looking at this year, because of the border being closed, does winning a Canadian division necessarily make that team a contender? That's the argument we will have the entire season. The entire season we will have that argument. And there will be reasons to look at that argument and go, yeah, we'll see. Now, the Gretzky division here, well, this division is either good or bad. There doesn't seem to be an in-between. And here's the thing. 3 teams in the top 10. So that's tied with the Lemieux division here. Lemieux and Gretzky tied. Not a surprise there. And of course, that's still 3 more than the Richard division and 1 less than the Howe division. But 11th through 15th, there's nobody. 16th through 20th, there's nobody. 21st through 31st, 5 teams. More than half of this division would have finished between 21st in the league and last overall. And 2 Stanley Cups, both of those belong to the LA Kings, 2014 and 2012. And I don't surprise anybody in saying this is no longer that LA Kings team. You got San Jose, they were 29th. Anaheim, 27th. Arizona, 22nd. Vegas was 8th. LA, 28th this past year. Dallas was 10th. Colorado was 3rd. And for Minnesota, 21st overall. So this is a division where you have Vegas, Colorado, Dallas, and then who knows? Who knows where it might end up? Who knows what might happen? And if we're going to see the top 4 teams make the playoffs, we could see a team make the playoffs here in this division that wouldn't make the playoffs anywhere else. And I'm not just talking about not making the playoffs, but a team that could potentially be 4th in this division that could be last in this division. So that's the issue that we're seeing here. That, again, for me, from a power rankings perspective, I kind of think I have to power rank it by divisions. And I may have to change it completely where I'm power ranking by divisions. And then I'm also doing power rankings of, say, the best players, the best goalies, that kind of thing. And then we get into a whole other murky area because let's just say that Connor McDavid gets off to an awesome start. He goes 40 points in his first 10 games. We're talking about how great he is. Somebody who's a fan of a team in this division could say, yeah, he's off to those great starts. How many points would he put up if he was playing Washington, Tampa, or Nashville, St. Louis on a regular basis? How many points would he put up if he's playing against Columbus, who are very smart defensively, against Philly, Boston, Pittsburgh, Islanders as well? So this is going to be an interesting task because all year we will have that debate. So if the NHL does do this, if we have a shortened, say, 60-game season, and we have divisions that are basically just playing themselves and not playing outside their division, well, I look forward to the very lively debates. And if you're a fan of a Canadian team, get ready. Get ready for people when your team's on a winning streak to say, yeah, but you've only beaten Canadian teams. Let's see what happens when you beat a contender. Because that's where we're going to end up because, of course, the Stanley Cup has not rested in Vancouver at all. Ever. Well, I mean, it's been won in Vancouver. Not by Vancouver, but won in Vancouver. Twice, actually. Go New York. And Boston. Tough nights. But because the Stanley Cup hasn't resided in Canada other than to be on display at a Hall of Fame, there's going to be that argument all year of, yeah, your team is leading the Richard division, which I'm calling it. I know that's not what they're going to call it. They're going to call it the Canadian division because keep it boring, NHL. But yeah, it's going to be a fancy debate. There's going to be a lot of arguing this year. And for me, again, doing a power rankings, and then how do I do it? Do I just do like 8th here and say 8th on this power, 7th on this, and 6th on this? And again, let's say that Boston's 5th on this one and Montreal's 1st on this one. But we can have the argument then about, is Boston playing better than Montreal? We won't know because they don't play against each other. Should be an interesting year. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below, because again, I don't think standard power rankings are going to work. They're just not, for the reasons I just outlined. You're not going to play outside your division. We just don't know. But let me know your thoughts. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe if you're browsing your way through. You just happened upon this video. Thank you guys so much for watching, for all your support. I will talk to you again soon.